Hey everybody, Sons of a Pitch, an American soccer podcast episode 170, 30 away from 200. For joining us, everybody, we're going to be talking some USMNT action, some transfer news, and whatever else we decide to talk about on this regular episode of Sons of a Pitch. Thanks for jumping on with us. All right, Nick, lots of transfers to talk about. Transfer deadline day in Europe has come and gone. Jozy Altidore didn't move anywhere yet.
Aww.
But
what, nobody wants Jozy Altidore anymore?
Nobody wants Jozy Altidore anymore. Imagine that.
Right. I'm sure Ali Curtis would have moved him if he had a legit buyer.
Now everybody says, oh, it's League MX. It's League MX, League MX. It's all League MX.
Send him to Liga MX then.
Please.
Send him. Jozy does not want to go to Mexico.
He doesn't.
He's been there enough times representing the United States. He knows what it's like to play there as an American, as an African American, and he does not want to go there. That's for sure.
Yeah. He can barely handle being in the greatest country in the world and all the wonderful protections and everything we have here. It's going to be hard to go down to Mexico. Just saying.
Canada? Are you talking about Canada?
Oh, United States
Toronto?
and Canada.
His club?
Same thing. Anyways, moving off of that, we've got lots of other ones to talk about. Like, I don't know. What do you want to talk about first? Brian Reynolds from FC Dallas to Roma?
Mike, there are tons of things. And just to kind of put a little context in tonight's episode for all of our viewers and for all of our listeners, MLSsoccer.com has a transfer tracker. So just Google search MLSsoccer.com transfer tracker, and it has all the reports, the rumors, as well as the official deals that are done. So I had scoured that webpage, pulled some of the biggest news recently, and then done some homework and put some notes together on those headlines. And then we're going to give you our takes on, is this good for the club? Is it good for the player? Is it good for the league as a whole? So that's kind of, how we're going to package it tonight. Real quick introductory stuff here. What is the actual transfer window? Do we all know how transfer windows work? You can only bring players in during a certain period of time. That way it kind of keeps things in line with parity, doesn't give anyone an unfair advantage, et cetera, et cetera. Now for the MLS, their transfer window officially reopens on February 10th ahead of the new season, which will begin a few weeks after that, and then closes on May 4th. So from May 5th on, your rosters are set. But we've been seeing MLS players move all over the world because most other international league windows close on February 1st, just this past yesterday, this time of recording. But you can still sign free agents. If a player is not attached to a club as of the October transfer window, then they're considered a free agent. You can sign them at any point in time for, whatever you can work the contract deals out for. So there's your background information on tonight's Sons of a Pitch transfer special, all things big MLS moves. So let's start then, Mike, with some big names in MLS. But this one didn't move. Aaron Long didn't move. We thought he was going to get loaned out to Liverpool. We thought he was going to get sold or loaned out to another championship side or, maybe a lower tier Premier League side. Nothing happened. He didn't move. He's still with the Red Bulls. Is that surprising to you? Yes or no?
Not really, because I knew the whole Liverpool thing was a crock. But looking at, I don't know. I figured when is this guy going to go? It's time for him to go. He's already 28. Maybe it's too late. Maybe he's done. Maybe the Red Bulls have completely screwed over Aaron Long's career by holding him back. That's all I can think of. Is just that he's just too old now. Nobody wants him anymore. I don't know. I don't see why they wouldn't move this guy. But that's not for me to decide, I guess.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed because I think for him as a player, it would have been great to see him in another league really testing himself, especially as a USMNT player, to be able to go to one of the top 5 leagues or go to maybe a step above the MLS. and really challenge himself and test himself and learn more about himself and his game. But the Red Bulls, we know they're shrewd businessmen. They are not going to let a player go for anything less than what they value that player at. They're not, a bargain selling type of team. They're not moving guys just to have continuous cash flow. They value their players at a certain level, at a certain dollar amount, and they're not going to go below that. So I give credit to the Red Bulls for not trying to just move guys to move guys. But you know what? Hopefully Aaron Long is happy, and hopefully he can continue his high performance with Red Bull New York this upcoming season. So I know you're not high on him as a top defender, and yeah, right. Him going to Liverpool might have been a little bit of a stretch. Then again, Liverpool is kind of desperate some defending at this point. Anything else you want to talk about on Aaron Long, Mike? Otherwise, pick your next transfer topic.
No, I want to talk to you guys about Brian Reynolds. This Brian Reynolds goes to Roma, a childhood dream of Brian Reynolds. I mean, you see the picture that was floating around with him in his yearbook or something at school, and it's got I don't know if it's fake or not. Maybe it's fake, but he's got a thing next to it saying, he wants to play when he's older. He wants to play for AS Roma, and that the coach at that time was like his biggest idol or something, Paulo Fonseca or something like that, right? I didn't even know who it was, but I'm like, that's crazy. So all this talk about him going to Juve, well, then screw Juve. He was going to to Roma all the time. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Kids' dreams do come true, right? I don't think people would be making that up. Then again, I can't put anything past anyone on the internet nowadays. But we usually look at Dallas as having that pipeline to Bayern Munich. They actually formed a partnership where Dallas players can go train with Bayern Munich in the offseason. Bayern can send guys over to Dallas to train here, kind of out of that European spotlight, get a little different climate, if you will, figuratively and literally here in the U.S., especially in Texas. So we usually see these Dallas players going to the Bundesliga, going to Bayern Munich. But for him to get to Roma, again, only the second American behind Michael Bradley to ever play for Roma. And Bradley, I don't think he really didn't break into the starting 11 very often in his Roma days. So for me, for the player, this is huge. For the club, Dallas, even bigger, because now you're not just selling guys to your partner club in Bayern Munich or putting guys in the Bundesliga. You're getting guys on top clubs in Serie A, which is amazing for Dallas. And for the league as a whole, we are continuing to show that the MLS puts out quality young talent. Reynolds is a homegrown. He came up through the Dallas system. This isn't like Kalen Clark, who was in the Barcelona Academy in Arizona, spent a year in the Red Bulls, and then got sold on. He's a homegrown through and through. So I think this is a phenomenal move for all three of the things that I want to touch on with these transfers: individual, club, and league. Cheers to Brian Reynolds, man! What a great move.
Yeah, congratulations to him, and that's huge. So a couple comments here I want to get to. It's Soccer09. You guys are almost 2K subs. NBM videos. Thanks for coming on and hanging here. Saw my content there with Toronto Sports Insider. Thanks for coming over to Sons of a Pitch. Let's get this guy to 2K. So everybody, tell your friends. Let's get us to 2K by the end of the night. We're sitting at 1982 right now, according to YouTube Studio. So hit that subscribe button down below, and turn on your notifications as well so you don't miss any of our awesome American soccer content.
For sure.
So yeah,
we're NBM videos with us too, man. Great to have some other podcasters and content creators out there. So definitely, cross tweet. Let's cross promote. Let's do it.
Absolutely. So yeah, and you guys go check out MVM videos there. He's got some Blue Jays hype videos up and some gaming videos. Go sub to his channel as well. Jose Hernandez. He says, I have one last question. When's the Discord server before I go watch Puebla versus Monterrey? Actually just got it up. It just loaded up. Now I've got to actually be able to invite. We haven't done set anything up in it, just set the actual thing up itself. So let me put that out in the chat here on YouTube. So this is Sons of a Pitch Discord server just for you. there. Jose Hernandez, thanks for coming on. And then we got Jaden Ray Penaloza. His money is on Monterrey. That was myself and National Team Mexico's pick in our Liga MX picks and predictions. So I think Monterrey will get the job done. So anybody who wants to go join the Discord server for Sons of a Pitch, hit that link there in the chat, and you will hit that. Look, we got Crimson Pyro is here. So whoever that is, thanks for jumping on there.
Hey, all right.
George Springer actually just jumped on as well. And hey, we got a few more people jumping in here. This is off Peter Quill as well. George Springer's NBM. Look at the Discord server blowing up.
Nice.
Blowing up.
Nice. That's an Avengers reference or a Marvel reference there, Peter Quill. I like it.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I had no idea.
Anyway, let's get back to our soccer talk.
Back to soccer, right?
It's always fun interacting with the viewers, listeners, and fans. But we've got transfers. Another one that jumped out of the web page to me was Atlanta United have waived forward Adam John.
Okay.
I thought this guy was supposed to bail out the Five Stripes. He was supposed to come in and he was going to know the system and know the new coach, and he was going to start scoring goals and picking up the slack with Joseph out with this injury. They waived him. I thought he had some good games for them this past season, Mike. I think this is terrible for the player, because if you're getting waived by an MLS team, you're probably your stock's gonna drop quite a bit as far as the international market. I mean, you might get picked up by some other clubs in North America or South America. Maybe you get picked up by, maybe you go to Turkey. I don't know, or Cyprus, Greece, some league on those tiers.
He's going to USL, man. If anything, he's going to USL. That's where he came from. I mean, well, technically he came from Columbus. He was signed with Columbus at the time he ended up going to Atlanta. But Adam John is trash. He scored a couple goals in his MLS career. There's nothing, nothing going on with him. He didn't do much for Atlanta when they came in. That was a signing like, we just need a body in place because Joseph is out and we have nobody else here. So that was just a quick signing. Let's get him in, and they did what they needed to do quickly. Can't blame them for that. And Adam John is gone. They have an off season now to actually bring some real people in. So yeah, we can't waste any more time on Adam John. Just
okay. So you don't think he was a victim of a coaching change? You think he just sucked?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's just there's nothing there.
Okay, so it sounds like then this might not be a good move for the player, because obviously he's getting waived, but the club and the league can move on to better talent. So I like that, Mike. I like that analysis. The next kind of big name, Paul Arriola, joins USMNT teammate and former Seattle Sounder Jordan Morris. I mean, I guess technically still Seattle Sounder because he's on loan, but now Arriola joins Morris on loan to Swansea City. We got two USMNT players, two DP guys in MLS now on loan at Swansea City. A little bit of trivia on this one. The DC United majority owner, Jason Levine, is also co-owner of Swansea City. So there's a little bit of a connection there. So not too surprising. And I guess not too surprising to have two USMNT wingers get picked up by Swansea when they're looking for a little more offense and making that push to get into the Premier League. What do you think of these moves, Mike? How do you like it?
Well, I mean, I like it from a Swansea perspective, but I'm not really a Swansea fan. I'm an MLS fan, so I don't like it for MLS. I mean, it kind of shows you where we are in comparison to the leagues around the world. These are two of the better players in MLS, okay, designated players. Jordan Morris has torn it up in Seattle. Arriola hasn't really torn it up in DC, but he came from Liga MX.
Right. Or a ligament in DC. We'll give you that.
Well, right. So it's not that good of a move for the league from that standpoint. I mean, it's the championship. If this was going to the Premier League, maybe, but we're supposed to be on par with the championship right now. That's kind of where everybody's been saying, oh, well, MLS is the same as the championship. And I don't know, man. I don't like it. I mean, I'm glad that these guys are getting an opportunity, right?
Sure.
I'm happy for them for that from that side of things. But from an MLS perspective, it's not good that your designated players are rescue signings for a championship team trying to get promoted. All right, because what I'll tell you right now is if these guys do get promoted, Areola and Morris are gone. They're not going to stick with them to the Premier League. It's not going to happen unless they absolutely tear it up in their game going there. Now, for the US fans, they'll be watching the championship now and rooting for Swansea. Just don't forget how dirty they did Bradley a few years ago.
Right, that's very true. But you know what, Mike, I'm going to take a little different spin on this, and maybe this is the lawyer in me being able to turn an argument to suit whatever I want. But hey, real quick, NBM videos, man, appreciate you jumping on. We'll see you in the future chats. But as far as the Swansea stuff goes, Swansea want to make sure that they get promoted. So I don't know if I'd call Morris and Areola rescue signings. These are guys they think can help their team compete and win in the championship, in the English second division. So if they got to come to MLS to get guys to help them win, that means they're not finding guys on their current roster or throughout England. Maybe I'm looking at it very, very glass half full. Maybe I'm looking at it very optimistically. But if Morris and Areola end up getting Swansea promoted and then end up sticking with this club or get bought out with this club for their time in the Premier League, that's going to be awesome for USMNT. It's going to be awesome for the league. It's going to be awesome for these guys. It's awesome for everyone. So again, I guess we got to let kind of hindsight be our guide on it. But I think there's huge upside to these guys playing on a promotion-hungry Swansea City team. And I think, did they both play at that stadium when we had the game against Wales, or was that more of a European-based camp? Because, hey, they already have a little bit of hometown feeling then.
Yeah, that was a European-based camp. I don't think either guy got into the side on that one.
All right. Well, anyway, let's move on to another championship move here. Orlando's Daryl DK gets sent out to Barnsley. I forget, Mike. Is this a loan or was this an actual transfer?
Yes, this was a loan, and there was a option to buy put on it for $20 million. Which basically, after reading that and kind of reading some of the articles about it, that's just a formality of part of the deal, because the most they've ever spent on a player is like $3.5 million or something like that. So it's not going to happen. He's not going to get purchased. He'll be back in Orlando, but a good move. Orlando, loses DK for a little bit of time, but he's going to get better. And then he probably comes back, and at that point, maybe they sell him and move him on. But a good move for both Orlando and for DK. This is the kind of level that should be going to the championship, to me. This kind of level. Not the DPs, but the young up-and-comers who are 19, 20, 21 years old, that are just coming up, just kind of breaking out in MLS. Those kind of guys should go to the championship, not our DPs.
Okay, I'm with you on that, Mike. You want our younger guys getting into those leagues, because then by the time they hit 23, 24, 25, then they're triggering those sell-on clauses when they move up to Premier League, Serie A league, all that sort of thing, Bundesliga. That's when they need to be in their prime, is playing in those top 5 European leagues, or being a part of, as we'll see in some other transfers, like an Argentine super club, a Brazilian super club, teams down there who are winning Copa Libertadores regularly. Like that's kind of where our guys should be when they're in the prime of their career. So I'm with you on that. I like DK to Barnsley. He can give him some offense. He can develop. He had a really good year with Orlando City, but watching him in the Trinidad Tobago game, you could see some of his flaws. Like he still needs to work on some of his communication. I think there was a play where he went to strike it at the same time. I think Roldan got it mixed up with him, and they didn't get a clean shot on goal because of it. He did have a little trouble with the first touch and some of his turns. So he's going to work on that in Barnsley. But this is perfect for him. In the MLS, he can rely a lot more on his physicality to kind of cover up from some of those mistakes. In the English Championship, he will not be able to rely on that. There's going to be defenders just as big and physical, if not more so than him, and he's going to have to develop a skill set. So this is a great move for the man, a great move for the club, who can free up a little bit of salary space or a roster spot where they can bring in some new talent. Now for Barnsley itself, they're 12th in the championship. They need to get into the top 6 in order to qualify for the promotion playoff. If you guys didn't know, 1 and 2 in the championship get promoted to the Premier League, and then 3 through 6 have a playoff to see who's the third team that gets promoted. So they're looking for DK to become a striker for them who can help them in that chase. I think he can do it. Mike, anything else on DK?
No, I'm glad you're pronouncing his name correctly though this time.
Yeah, I was preseason previews. I kind of butchered that one. We don't need to revisit that one.
Maybe the funniest moment in Sons of a Bitch soccer here.
And I didn't get it at first, and you're just staring at me like, I can't believe you said that on the show. I'm like, what? I just called him. DK. It's pronounced DK. Yeah, that was a moment for me.
Yep, sure was.
Move on to a name I can pronounce. LAFC sent Brian Rodriguez on loan to Spain with a purchase clause on that one. Now he is only with Almira in Spain's second division, but they are second in the table right now. They're looking to get promoted. And besides, Rodriguez, 20 years old, already one of the better LAFC players. I think he was named like Young Player of the Year, maybe, or in that running. I think he was, a 20 under 20 look in MLS. And if he gets sold on to La Liga club, if this is a permanent deal, if they make some money off, LAFC could have a huge payday if Rodriguez lives up to his talent, right? It seems, and here's the big thing for LAFC, Mike, and this is why it's a great move for the club. Not only can they make some money off this, it frees up a DP spot. He was a designated player, so LAFC now can go out on the free market and bring in another Carlos Vela or Diego Rossi to pair up with those guys. This could be huge for LAFC. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's a huge move by LAFC. I mean Rodriguez, he didn't quite produce the way they expected him to. He was good, he wasn't bad, but he didn't quite produce like I think they were hoping for. So this is a good move. Get him out to Spain. He obviously, I mean, it was kind of that he came over in that big rush of young South Americans where it was, oh, look at all these young South Americans coming over here for TAM, maybe DP money. And then in a couple of years, they're all going to move over to Europe. So now MLS is kind of that stepping stone for Europe that South Americans were looking at. It's kind of changed a little bit since then. It's not quite the same because they really haven't been successful with that. Like Brian Rodriguez here, as you can see, going to Almira in the second La Liga B or whatever the hell they call it over there.
Area B. No, wait, that's Italy. Never mind.
Yeah, that's Italy. But Rodriguez should have been going to a La Liga side. If the plan worked as it was supposed to, it should have went from, I think it was Uruguay, and then to MLS, tear up MLS a little bit. Didn't really tear it up, but if he did, then moving on to a mid-table La Liga side or something like that. So it didn't really work out, but it's a good move for LAFC because now if he goes out on loan and they purchase him, it's good. Right, they've got the spot free up, and it's a good move for Rodriguez. He gets over to Europe where I think he wanted to go. So overall, it's a win-win for both sides.
Sure. Let's move on then to some other kind of next tier MLS clubs. We talked a lot about the big names. Let's talk about some players who could maybe bring their respective MLS clubs into that top tier, into that trophy contention, into top half of their conference. Real quick, the Vancouver Whitecaps and Milinkovic mutually agreed to terminate the contract. Mike, you're the Canadian soccer expert. You're the Toronto sports insider. You know your opponent, the Vancouver Whitecaps, I believe. Who's this Milinkovic guy? Is this a big deal that Vancouver and him are parting ways? Like, Vancouver was supposed to be better this year and did not improve. And so maybe this is kind of a house clearing type of move here, clearing up some roster spots. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what Milinkovic came in kind of highly touted. I don't know. I believe it was TAM money to Vancouver. Came in, I think it was from like Hull City or one of the championship sides. Came in highly touted going to Vancouver. He was going to be part of this new revolution with Dos Santos. I don't even know how that guy still has a job up there in Vancouver. He's been around, I think, 3 years now, and they haven't even broken the near a playoff spot in 3 years. I'm all for giving a coach time. You know that. But 3 years of unsuccessful, and you've had like 2 switches of the entire team to get to your people. It's time for him to go. But they get rid of Milinkovic. They mutually agree to terminate the contract. I mean, that's one of those, hey, I want to go home. I don't like it here. I like Europe. And they're like, good, we don't want you here because, you're not performing and we suck. So go back, go home. Bye. And MLS, the way the rules are, you can terminate one contract per year. Now, whether that's the mutual contract, I don't know if you get like an extra one or if you only get the one period, whether it's mutual or not mutual. I'm not 100% sure, but that's kind of the story of Milinkovic. Really didn't do much for the Whitecaps. Not a big loss for them.
There you go. And the other kind of back end roster move type of thing is the Sounders re-signed goalkeeper Spencer Ritchie and loan out Trey Muse. So Ritchie was with FC Cincinnati, so they have signed him now. Looks like he'll be backing up Stephen Fry potentially.
Okay.
Their 3 goalkeepers are Fry, Ritchie, and then Stephen Cleveland. Those are probably the 3 guys that are going to be on their roster come the beginning of the season. So that is something, Seattle shoring up their back line. I still think Fry's got a couple 3 good seasons left in him. So I don't think they're in a hurry to move on, but at least give him a little depth in the net. So unless you got any comments on what Seattle's doing with their goalkeeping, Mike.
No, I mean, they re-signed the backup. That's all it is.
There you go.
Steph Fry's team, no issues there.
So the next kind of, club to make a move that could have impact, NYCFC, there's a report out there that Castellanos has been linked with a move to Palmeiras in Brazil. Again, like I was saying, Palmeiras won the equivalent of South America's Champions League. And Palmeiras is a storied club in Brazil, one of the top clubs in all of South America. Castellanos had putting in decent work for NYCFC. His stats with New York, 18 goals and 10 assists in 60 games of those 42 starts. So if Castellanos moves, Mitritu's on loan to Saudi Arabia, which gives them a DP spot. Castellanos moving would free up an international roster spot and probably get him a few extra bucks, Mike. NYCFC could make some moves here and really keep pace with the top of the Eastern Conference. So what do you think about Castellanos being linked with Palmeiras?
I can see it happening because Castellanos had a hell of a season. He's still young, 22 years old. That's, going to a club like Palmeiras. I could see it happening, no doubt. Would it be the right move? I don't know. It depends on what the plans were for New York City up there up front. I mean, Hebert will be back most likely. I mean, at least by midseason with the knee injury. So I don't know what it looks like for them. Yeah, if this would free up more money for New York City, they got to get on the roll with it though, because just like a lot of these other teams, man, they've been waiting so damn long. Get to making some moves here. It's getting close to start a training camp here in now another 2 to 3 weeks before training camp. It's time to start making some moves. So it could happen. I would like to see it not happen, because I don't want to see guys going from MLS, young MLS guys going to the Brazilian league. I want to see these young guys that are successful in MLS stay in MLS or move on to bigger and better things like a big club. And Palmeiras is a big club in Brazil. Don't get me wrong, one of the soccer hotbeds of the world. But that's maybe I'm just an MLS snob instead of a Euro snob mixed together with a Euro snob. I want to see them go to Europe, not go to South America. That's just me. But Could be a good move.
As long as you're not an MLS apologist. We don't need any more of those guys out there. But moving on to some other transfers here, more on the goalkeeping front. Colorado signs William Yarbrough to a multi-year deal. He was on loan from Liga MX club Leon, and now got a 3-year deal with Colorado plus a 1-year club option. So it looks like Colorado's set with their goalkeepers, because in addition to Yarbrough, they've got Clint Irwin, Andre Rawls, and Abraham Rodriguez. So they're probably going to drop one of those guys. If they can move a goalkeeper, I'm sure they would. But, man, moving a number 3 or number 4 goalkeeper in MLS is tough. Usually those guys just get released. So that's Colorado's goalkeeping situation there. Now, Mike, let's talk a little more depth with Minnesota. And then there's some big news from Cincinnati, and that's how we're going to round out our transfer talk here. So Minnesota signs a quartet of players here. That's the word that MLS used, and I like it because it's fancy and it reminds me of string quartets and fancy music. And now they have their fine, refined band in the midfield, kind of. They have signed Ja'Cory Hayes, Brent Kallman, Callum Montgomery, and Adrian Zendejas, a midfielder, 2 defenders, and a goalkeeper, 2 new contracts. These names probably don't stand out to anyone but Loons fans. But to you, Mike, is this a great move to build on their depth? Or you think they're just rounding out a roster? Do you think Minnesota sees something in this group of players?
I know they see some in Ja'Cory Hayes. He's young. They've talked about him being in the future plan. So I know that. But the other guys, Kallman, Montgomery, I'm assuming the backup keepers, and Dejas, it's going to be Sinclair's team. Up there, the young goalkeeper was a rookie this year and did fairly well for him. So these are just kind of depth signings. I think that's kind of all we're going to start seeing now is these depth signings of where now that we know we have a date for the start of the season. If all goes well with the CBA and whatnot, we have a start date now. So at least now they'll start signing these guys. I think we're going to go through a little period where it's mostly depth signings, and then we're going to start seeing the big time signings start trickling through over the next probably like February 10th through like the 25th, the end of the month. Yeah. That's kind of the progression that I'm thinking. So these are just depth moves to me. I mean, none of these guys are standing out as huge big time players that are going to tear up MLS. So I'm going with the depth piece there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. What we've seen from the business side of things is because of COVID and the pandemic and the shutdown and the projected losses that all these clubs are saying that they're going to lose, they're not making these big splash signings. They're not going out right now and signing guys from overseas. They're not bringing in the next Javinko or the next Piatti, to use a little of your, or Pozuelo, to use your TFC comparisons there. So they're shoring up their roster. They're keeping consistency, and I think that could give Minnesota a really good advantage over some of these other Western Conference teams because they had their best season last year since joining the MLS, I think. And keeping your core together and keeping the back end of the roster together gives you a lot of consistency in your training sessions, gives you a lot of consistency on your game day roster, guys you can count on. There's not going to be much of a drop-off if you have a guy who's out from injury, yellow card accumulation, or just rotating tired legs. So this depth could really help Minnesota. So I like the moves, even though they're not those household MLS names. But like you said, you get Ja'Cory Hayes up and running, Loons are in a good position. So now what I teased just a minute ago, the biggest kind of not transfer move, Franky Maya in FC Cincinnati. FC Cincinnati supposedly had several other MLS clubs offer over $1 million in allocation money to sign Franky Maya, the 20-year-old first overall super draft pick. And by the way, Mike, I know you're not high on the super draft, but two of the guys we just talked about, Franky Maya and Daryl DK, super draft signings, first round super draft signings. So there's still value there. There's still value there, at least in the first round.
Yeah, the first 5 picks.
Okay. All right. We don't need to get into super draft discussions tonight, but we'll get there soon. But yeah, FC Cincinnati turned down multiple offers to get over $1 million in allocation money for Franky Maya. I think that was a smart move by Cincinnati. Maybe for Franky Maya, it wasn't the best because he doesn't get to go to a, quote, better club. And I haven't heard of him getting any international interest yet. But for Cincinnati, you invested your super draft pick in him. You have a player who you want to build around, a guy who's rising the ranks of the U.S. youth national teams. Why would you get rid of him? I mean, this is like, again, you want to talk Ohio sports. I mean, this is like Cleveland drafting the number 1 pick to save their basketball team and then just trading him right away, or this is, let's see, I'm trying to think of
Nick, what you're pulling at strings, man.
Oh, come on. All right, then tell me, Mike, what do you think about Franky Maya? Should they have taken the money for him?
Hell yes, they should have taken the money for him. They need to reset the entire organization. That entire organization is a shit show. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. Even their fans know it. The entire thing needs to be reset. Well, they've got a great opportunity for that. They are walking into a brand new season now. Okay? Brand new stadium, brand new season. You get rid of everyone. Get rid of everybody. Everybody goes. That's what I mean, you completely reset. Soccer 09, heading out. Thanks for joining tonight. Appreciate it. You just reset, get rid of everyone completely and start fresh. This organization, from the racism crap with Jans to different coaches to the ownership and all this stuff, man, it's all got to go. Franky Maya was the first pick in their history. He has amounted to nothing. Absolutely.
He's only 20.
I understand he's only 20, Nick, but when you're the number 1 draft pick in MLS, for whatever that's worth, because we all know the draft is useless now anyways.
I'm glad you backtracked. Otherwise, I was going to call you on that right out. Like, oh, now all of a sudden the draft picks are good.
No. But I mean, it's useless, and this is why. Here's your number 1 pick. Look at his stat line. 40 games played for Cincinnati, 3,000 minutes, 37 shots, 11 shots on goal, only 11 shots on goal in 2 years, 40 games.
Well, if Cincinnati can't get the ball out of their own defensive,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How many goals has he scored, Nick? How many goals?
I don't know. How many? I didn't look at one goal.
Okay, one goal. I understand he's a midfielder. He's a midfielder. I get it. Whatever. Young up and coming USA star. We're not talking about New York City FC or a team who's being successful, and they can have a guy that comes in off the bench that's a rising star. They need players now. They need to win now. They need to stop being the crap that they are, and you get rid of them for $1 million. That's what you do. You take the $1 million in Gam or Tam, you go sign somebody like a Victor Castellanos type or someone like that, and you get somebody that's going to make a difference for your squad. And then you're starting fresh. Your number 1 pick who's been there through all the crap and ownership, firing coaches, 6 months into their season, the inaugural coach is gone. Then they pick up this guy who's screaming racist crap in the locker room. He's gone. The whole team falls apart. The team can't win anything. They can't make the playoffs. Just move on from them if you got an opportunity to make $1 million. I'll leave it there. I'll end my rant. But that's a stupid decision by FC Cincinnati, and they continue to be trash on and off the field.
Well, if FC Cincinnati doesn't know what to do with their money, might as well keep a good player than squander the money they would get for him. That's going to be my counterpoint on that one, Mike. If they don't know what they're doing with their organization, what good is all that extra money going to be? They're just going to sign 3 more terrible guys when they could hold on to a Maya. So I'll leave that as my.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
All right.
So moving along.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Who knew FC Cincinnati would have got us all riled up tonight? Can you believe that?
Exactly.
Well, anyway, Mike, that's a lot of the transfer headlines. Is there anything else, any other transfer news, any other MLS type stuff that you wanted to get into before we move into a brief USMNT discussion?
I'm waiting to see what Toronto FC is going to do. They're rumored to be kind of in on that Bora Rafael Bora from River Plate, apparently 25 years old, looking like about a $4 million transfer fee, or $4 million a year. I think the transfer fee is around $11 million, but he's got 6 months left in his contract. So we haven't heard anything. I think they might bring him in the summer when his contract's over. That way they don't have to spend the $11 million on the transfer fee. But God, Toronto just needs to get rid of Josie Altidore too. But that's for another conversation. I put a video up there on Toronto Sports Insider for that we retweeted out. Thank you, Nick, for retweeting that. And so that's pretty much all I want to cover on these transfers. I'm sure next week we'll have a lot more to talk about.
Absolutely. So let's take 5-8 minutes here, and let's do a quick recap of the USMNT's friendly against Trinidad and Tobago. Tobago. I don't know.
Potato.
There you go. What do you want to talk about here, Mike? The fact that the USMNT scored 7 goals on this Caribbean nation here, that we had 90% passing accuracy out of 73% possession all night, 12 shots on goal. What do you want to take away from what amounts to the USMNT's C team? This was mostly our U23 Olympic guys running out against a Caribbean team that, to their credit, said, yeah, we'll play you guys. We'll come up to Florida. We know you guys can't schedule any other nation because nobody's traveling. There's travel restrictions, whatever, with COVID. Yeah, we'll come on up. We'll take a little trip to Orlando. Maybe we'll go to Disney after the game. Who knows? So credit Trinidad and Tobago for coming up and for bringing guys. They had 8 players on that roster who are playing in MLS or USL, as well as 2 other guys who are playing in top clubs in Costa Rica, like Saprissa. And I think there was a guy who was playing for Olympia in Honduras. I might be wrong on that one. So they brought their squad. They're there to learn. We saw even one of their defenders, I think Willingham was his name, I believe, number 4 for TNT, plays for Forward Madison, the Chicago Fire's USL affiliate. So Fire fans may have gotten a little sneak peek at one of their future defenders. But what do you take away from this game, Mike, as a USMNT fan watching this kind of dismantling of a far inferior opponent?
I loved every minute of it. It was fun to watch.
Yes.
It was enjoyable right from the get-go. Second minute, Jonathan Lewis scores 7 goals. It was just a beatdown, 19 shots, 12 on target. Only 1 shot on target for Trinidad, and that was a save by Matt Turner on a penalty kick. A high boot penalty, which probably wasn't even really a penalty, but the ref gave it to him anyway because he felt bad for him. I loved it, man. It was great. We're talking about a team that we lost to that knocked us out of World Cup qualifying in 28 for the 2018 World Cup. We lost to them.
The field wasn't flooded, Mike. The field.
Yeah, right. The whiny tattooed millionaires, right? As Alexi Lala says. So now these young kids, they're fighting for it. The hunger's back with the USMNT, and I like that. I think it was a very necessary step to go through what we went through, because now that generation, which was like, oh yeah, we got this. We go to the World Cup every 4 years. We're really good. We're getting better and better, and we just got this because the only team that can really play with us is Mexico. And then they get their ass whooped and they don't make the World Cup. So now that hunger's back and we're going after it. Everybody wants to put the red, white, and blue shirt on. There's competition again. There really hasn't been competition in those years from 2010 to 2018. So now there's competition again. The golden generation is here. The excitement is here. And that showed with these great performances we saw last night or 2 nights ago. For the United States. I loved every minute of it. Paul Arriola with 2 goals before he headed over to Swansea City, and same thing with DK. He didn't get a goal, but he came in, played 30 minutes, and it was funny. I was actually reading an article about it that DK had to play in that game in order to qualify for the green card to travel to Barnsley to play in the championship. So if he didn't play in that game, FIFA wouldn't have given him the green card or whatever to go on loan. So that's why he actually played.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, to me, that says great things about Greg Berhalter, like doing stuff like that for his players, right?
Oh, right.
Like bringing in guys like Josie Legit and Areola, giving them, a shot to run out again with USMNT, getting DK in the game so that he can make the move overseas. I really think DK was going to get into that game regardless because we wanted
Agreed.
to see how he was going to play. But that's great. I love what Berhalter's doing for the guys on a personal connecting level, and he's getting those dual nationals to come to the United States. Like we saw Pereira make his debut for the USMNT after switching from Colombia. So again,
Pereira,
like you said, Pereira, like you said, depth, competition, drive, hunger to put on the red, white, and blue. The one thing I will take away from on the field was that Matt Turner save. He had to do nothing all night. He got maybe 7 or 8 touches because, in Berhalter's system, the goalie needs to play with his feet, play from the back, be like that extra defender to work the ball around a bit. So he had some touches. He had to be awake. It's not like he could just take a nap.
Yeah.
But he had one big play to make, and he stepped up and he did it. He read that penalty all the way. We fell in love with Zach Steffen because of how good he was at stopping penalties. Well, Matt Turner just did it. I don't care if it was Trinidad and Tobago. That is an international game from the spot, and he stepped up and made the save. Like people would have forgotten that in a heartbeat, given the scoreline. But he stepped up and did it. So kudos to Matt Turner. I like him as Zach Steffen's backup right now.
Wow,
how great is that? We're talking U.S. goalkeeping depth. That's how good we're feeling, right?
So you got Matt Turner as Zach Steffen's backup.
Yeah, Matt Turner, our number 2. And I saw people tweeting out, even Max Brados was tweeting out, like, Turner's our number 1. There, I said it. I'm like, okay, I'm not there. I'm not with you on that one. But I see him as the backup to Steffen. That as of right now, that's for sure. So, Mike, I think those are the big takeaways from the USMNT game. I have spoken way too much tonight, so I will turn it over to you, man. Whatever's on your mind. Otherwise, feel free to bring us home here, brother.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's I loved every minute of the USMNT game. It was fun doing the live. Good turnout, lots of good conversation last night. Some big super chats as well. Thanks again to Jamie P. That was huge. Really appreciate that. And it was fun. Tonight was fun. And yeah, I was talking for 2.5 hours before this on Toronto Sports Insider for the Raptors' victory over Orlando. So. With that, let's take it home, man. We have to record our 2002 World Cup Time Machine episode as well. So that will be coming very shortly, probably on Thursday, to try and stay consistent with that. And as far as a live, I don't know what we're going to do next weekend, if we even will do a live, depending on what games are on. But other than that, it's been fun, guys. Thanks for joining, and make sure y'all hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And also, those of you who joined the Discord server, sounds good. Nick, you got to get on there so you can hang out and chat with all of us.
Sure.
And we'll talk to y'all very, very soon. Good night, everybody.